questions. Audience-wise, we're going to ask you to be quiet so everybody can hear the candidates. We don't want you to react to what they're going to say. It's just like a standard debate anywhere else, okay? The audience is here to listen, not to react or make noise. Okay, the candidates will get 3 minutes to introduce themselves. They'll get 2 minutes to answer each question, and then 1 minute rebuttal for each question as they go back around through. Then they'll get 3 minutes at the end to wrap up whatever they feel like they needed to say. We're going to get through as many questions as we can, and they're going to be randomly selected. So we're going to start off with, they drew cards for positions. So we're going to start off with Tom McGraw.
Thank you. I appreciate you all being here today. My name is Tom McGraw. I'm running for sheriff in Park County. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the Flume for putting us on today. This shows exactly what we need up here in Park County. We need people like you coming out and being interested in this sheriff's election. This, in my opinion, is the most important election in this county. I know we have some other elections going on, but I think this one is going to have the most impact on people, the sheriff's election. I'm glad you all coming out and listening to everybody and then making a good educated decision on whom you want to vote for to become the sheriff. For myself, I've been in law enforcement for 35 years. I started out when I was 19 years old in the city of Fort Walton Beach in Florida, a very busy community, and the largest Air Force base right next to us, a tourist town. I had to have my mom had to buy my gun for me because I was only 19. You got to be 21 to buy a pistol. I got hired with that department. I was the only one called in to be hired after I was on the auxiliary for a year, and then I was called in to be hired. My chief told me at that time, he says, Tom, he says, I'm scared to death to hire you. You're young. But I've had 6 veteran officers come in and say, you are the one we want because I have a lot of common sense. I was very good at being a cop, and they hired me. So I started at 20 years old, working on the road all by myself as a sworn law enforcement officer. And on patrol, we answered everything, all sorts of calls, domestic violence, and that was an experience for a 20-year-old. I barely had a girlfriend, and here I am going to calls where women and their husbands are fighting about something. But I learned how to deal with those people and how to take care of those situations. I answered burglary calls, robbery calls, homicide calls, traffic accidents, work traffic, very busy community. During that time, I got my college degree, Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. I then got promoted to a corporal, was a corporal on the road, corporal in charge of shifts. Oh, 1 minute, okay. And then I went to narcotics. I spent 16 total years working narcotics. Then I got hired by the state of Florida. I spent 2 years in fraud. I spent 5 years in homicide. I spent 3 years in public corruption. So I have a lot of true law enforcement experience. My wife is also retired law enforcement. She spent 33 years in law enforcement. She's the head volleyball coach up here in Fairplay at the high school. My son is a graduate of Texas A&M. He's an ensign in the Navy Reserve. He also works for a shipping company. We're very proud of our son. One of the greatest days that I had is when I took him off of my Verizon cell phone bill. But we love this county. We enjoy this county. This is our home now. We built our cabin up here. I bled on that cabin, and I'm going to die in that cabin. So this is where we live. This is where we love the area. It is a very special area to us. We do enjoy it. We love the outdoor activities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you can make it today. This shows what Bailey, Park County is all about, is being involved. And this election is so important to me and to you, and this really shows. I'd like to thank the Flume as well for putting this on. Again, my name is Gary Rhodes. Been here 18 years. Moved here in 2001. I'm married to a very supportive wife. Been together for 36 years. Been married for 26. That, to me, is commitment. I'm very committed. Committed to you, the citizens of Park County. I've been committed since the time I moved up here in 2001. I've got 3 successful children. All 3 graduated through the Platte County School District. My oldest daughter is currently the 7th grade science teacher here at Cook Middle School. Again, very involved. I've taught many classes, volunteered. I taught the female self-defense class up here. I've taught volunteered to teach a firearms class that's recently to all females. What I bring to you is 28 years of law enforcement experience. If you don't remember me, I was a state patrol. I did approximately 20 years of state patrol. Started my career in Golden. I graduated the academy in 1992. Worked there until 2001 when I was promoted to corporal. That's what brought me here to Park County. I was a corporal. I was a first-line supervisor. Got the supervisory experience. I was in charge not only for Park County, but for other counties surrounding us. I was responsible for multiple troopers at multiple times. I, as a corporal, was responsible for their scheduling and to make sure they're doing their job, make sure they're doing it right. Being involved in the community. I'm very, very strongly involved in the community. I support community policing. Got several certifications, qualifications, Master Firearms Instructor, Master Self-Defense Instructor. Served 19 years on the SWAT team, Colorado State Patrol, called it SORT. In 2006, I was promoted again. I was promoted to sergeant. As a sergeant, again, I was the first-line supervisor responsible for the entire troop of Park County. All of Park County, 2,200 square miles. Taught at the academy from 1992 until 2010. Taught multiple classes. Very educated. I helped write policy and procedures. I was a field training officer. When I left state patrol, I trained more state troopers than any other trooper in the state of Colorado. As a sergeant, I worked at CDOT, got the rumble strip here in Bailey, all the way to Fairplay. Reduced accidents, fatal accidents, 95%. Again, I was a supervisor at state patrol. I left in 2011, became a medical legal death investigator in Adams County. I've covered over 3,000 deaths. My law enforcement career is very diverse. I've got approximately 20 years of state patrol. As a supervisor, I was 10 years as a supervisor. Just started my 8th year with the coroner's office. Again, I've covered deaths from simple hospice to homicide, officer shootings, baby deaths. I've got several certifications. I don't have time to go over all those, but I have my book over here. Numerous certifications, highly, highly trained, highly educated. I ask for your vote. Again, I thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.
Next up is Monty.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming. I agree, this is a very, very important election, and the candidate that you choose for sheriff is going to have...
Can't hear you, Monty.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad all of you could be here today. This is an important election. The candidate you choose for sheriff is one of the most important decisions I believe you can make in your lifetime. I would like to thank the Flume for hosting this debate as well. I want to thank my wife for her support. And I want to thank my 2 kids over there, Ruby and John, if you guys can stand up. Ruby, we just got notified, placed in the 97th percentile in the MAPS test at her school in the nation for math.
Wow.
And our son John Lee was, got notified he's in the gifted and talented class, and he was actually offered an opportunity to go up 1 grade, and he said, "No, Dad, I want to stay home. I want to stay at the grade and that with my friends." So, anyway, as you can tell, I'm very proud of him. I've got 36 years of law enforcement experience. 24 of those years are at the command level. Command level is lieutenant and above. Lieutenants and above sets policy, examines legislative changes. I wrote the policy for the Park County Sheriff's Office. I was involved in policy making at the Summit County Sheriff's Office. I've dealt with personnel issues, I've dealt with lawsuit, I've dealt with the whole gamut of management. I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy at Quantico, Virginia. I graduated there in 2011 with a 4.0 GPA. Advanced SWAT School, Canyon City, 2008. SWAT School, Canyon City, Colorado, 2006. County Sheriff's of Colorado Command School, Highland Ranch, Colorado, 2003. St. John's University, DS Criminal Justice, once again with a 4.0 GPA. U.S. Department of Justice, National Institute of Corrections Leadership Academy, Longmont, Colorado, 1998. Colorado Law Enforcement Training Academy, Golden, Colorado, with a 4.0 GPA. I've also had multiple correctional officer academies. Specialized training, FBI Media Relations, Public Information Officer, Cineraxis Relock, Advanced Close Quarters Combat Firearms Instructor, Defense International Advanced Firearms Instructor, Incident Command, changing the cultures of organizations and presenting a professional image. As far as boots on the ground, my current employer just awarded me a letter of recommendation, or a letter of commendation for my actions during a fire. 1 Distinguished Service Medal for heroic acts, 1 Special Citation for bravery, 5 life-saving medals, 5 People's Choice Awards, 2 Congressional Awards, 3 commendations from other agencies.
Put your cell phones on silent, please, so we don't have any other interruptions, I'm sorry. Next up is John.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is John Ty. I've been in Park County for 19 years, or actually been with the Park County Sheriff's Office for 19 years. I've lived here for 22 years. I've been the SRO at Platte Canyon High School. I've been the SRO at Fairplay Schools. I have a wife and grown children now. My wife for 37 years is here today. I appreciate her being here today. My sons and my daughters all graduated, or my daughter graduated from Platte Canyon High School. I'm very proud of that. My daughter, she works for the Department of Social Services as a policy writer for special needs individuals with spinal cord injuries. My son actually served in the Coast Guard 6 years for our nation. Now he's actually a mechanical engineer for Park County, or for CIA. And my other son is a marketing seller or in the internet, and he sells marketing. He's very happy with that. Just about me now. I have 33 years of law enforcement experience. My work history is exemplary. I have never been terminated from a job. I've never been asked to resign from a job. I've always worked very well in my jobs that I've done. And I worked, when I first started was with Los Angeles Police Department. Learned a lot in Los Angeles Police Department. I would say probably my 3 years there, I did more there, a lot in the crimes and investigations than a lot of other departments that you've heard today. And that I've also worked for the city of Bellevue, a very fluid city. There I was a detective. I got to do all kinds of different crimes. When you're very busy within your department and they see that, you get certain recognition, and that's with jobs. So I was actually promoted as a special detective in Bellevue, Washington, where I worked homicide, sexual assaults, all different types of crimes there. And that, so I'm very proud of being promoted for that. Here in Park County, I was also your commissioner. I worked as your commissioner and for eight years, 2 successful terms. So I know what it's like to be an elected official. I also know what it's like to be an administrator. I had to hire and fire and be able to make sure that the county was running right. I have special projects that I was able to actually do, and one of which is the Communications Center for Park County. Park County could not talk when we had the tragedy at Platte Canyon High School to any units that were responding there. I improved that. I made sure Park County went from VHS to 800. I brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars to make sure that we were able to communicate. I appreciate your time today. I have 10 seconds left, and I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
All right, and last is going to be Steve. I'll remind all the candidates to speak up so that everybody can hear you all the way to the back of the room.
Well, good morning, everybody. We've all thanked you for being here. I'm not going to be any different. I thank you for being here too, because it's important, and I appreciate it. This is a great turnout. Thank you to the Flume for bringing us all together again for what is our last scheduled debate anyway of the 5 of us together. So I'm Steve Spodia, candidate for sheriff. I'm your local guy. I'm a Colorado native. I've lived in Colorado my entire life. I've been a part of the Bailey community for about 30 years now. I'm a graduate of Platte Canyon High School. and I have bachelor's degrees from Adams State University in history and sociology with an emphasis in criminology. My wife and I live here in the Bailey area, and we love it here. This is our home. Our kids go to school here. We have 2 boys that go to Deer Creek Elementary School. And on that note, school safety is something that's important to me, not just as a father, but as a law enforcement officer. This is our home. We're active in this community and we're involved because that's important to us as well. I've been a driver's education instructor here and coordinator. I've been a Cub Scout leader. I've been a baseball coach for Little League. I'm currently the president of Platte County Little League, and my oldest son is getting ready to play his first playoff game. Woo, go Rockies! Today over in Berkeley. I'm excited about that for him. But this is my 14th year in law enforcement. I've had a relatively diverse career in that time. I've been a detention deputy, I've been a municipal police officer, I've been a patrol deputy, school resource officer, SWAT operator, a railroad police special agent, senior special agent, a police canine handler. I'm currently a detective corporal and the SWAT team leader for the Park County Sheriff's Office. All these experiences have helped me to understand the role and my current role with the Sheriff's Office. I have current knowledge and understanding of what is happening in the Sheriff's Office right now. As your sheriff, my top priority will be retaining quality personnel, because I believe that quality people will produce a quality product. As your sheriff, I will also work to improve communication. That goes for communication coming out of the sheriff's office, having a dedicated public information officer that wants to speak to the public, hopefully repairing relationships with the press, and making sure that information gets out of the sheriff's office to all of you, because I know that's important to you. As your sheriff, I will also focus on illegal narcotics, wildland fires, illegal marijuana, and mental health, because I believe that those are also issues that are important to you, the people of Park County. So, most importantly, what I'd like you to remember about me is I care about this county, I care about the people here, and I am the man to lead the sheriff's office in a new direction. So thank you for being here. I'm Steve Stoliak.
All right, guys. First question. For everyone here, they'll get 2 minutes to answer it, just to remind you. And we're going to start again with Tom. How would you increase the census at the county jail?
What is that? Can you repeat
Census.
Population at the county jail.
Well, I'm not going to order my deputies to go out and arrest everybody. That's for sure. You know, right now we're down. I mean, I had a tour of the jail here last month, and we had, at that time, we had 45 inmates. We had 20 local inmates. We had 25 from ICE. ICE pays $45 a day for those inmates. That jail can handle over 200 inmates. It was built to do that several years ago. But the problems with the jail right now is there's maintenance issues coming up. A lot of money is going to be spent on maintenance issues for plumbing in there. So this Department of Corrections right now, they have empty beds. They have a lot of empty beds. So they are not going to send up prisoners to the Park County Jail and then pay Park County for those prisoners, because if they have empty beds, they're going to fill their beds first. There are ways to try and do some things with it. I know that Summit County, they house Lake County prisons, because Lake County has a very small jail. El Paso right now, their jail is overfilled. Their people are sleeping on the floors. I would try and contract with some of the other jails that are overflowing to see about bringing those prisoners up to our jail. But I think that it's going to boil down to we're going to have a very difficult time trying to fill our jail and trying to make money off of our jail. I think we're going to have to try and come up with, yeah.
So we can't turn that down. That's for the whole fire station. So we need you guys call.
Maybe one of your house?
Okay.
Oh, it's worth a try.
Like I said, I will go out and try and meet with some of the other jail, the sheriffs from other departments that have problems with their jails, and see if we can take some of their overflow But I think it's gonna boil down to is the question gonna be, what are we gonna do with this jail? And try and do something else with it besides trying to find prisoners to put in it. We've got to do something with it to fix the problem, the plumbing problem that we have in there. It's gonna cost us a lot of money. That money can go to other things, it can go to salaries for the deputies. So, I tend to work with other sheriff's offices, try and take their overflow, and that's about it right now. There's not much else we can do with it. Thank you.
So that's a good question. When I first decided to run for sheriff, the jail was one of the top priorities along with retention of our officers. For you that don't know, the budget's on the internet. Our jail lost $391,000 last year. It's not only because of the DOC, the ICE not having enough inmates to fill our jail. I agree, we need to get out, talk to these other counties and see what we can do to help them. Right now, we're capable of holding, just to give you an example, 100 DOC prisoners. When Monty Gore was there as a captain of the jail, that jail made money, I'll give him credit. We haven't made money in that jail for years, many years. Again, $391,000 last year. Even if DOC had prisoners for us to house, we wouldn't be able to do that because Park County has lost those contracts. We've got several lawsuits pending right now against our jail. Gentleman lost his leg, lawsuit, we just paid out several $100,000. If we could house 100 DOC inmates, which we're capable of doing very easily, we would make $1.9 million. $1.9 million. And the way I got that figure is DOC, I read the contract, they would pay $54 and some change per day per inmate. 100 of them is $1.9 million. That would help with the facilities, getting that back up to par. We don't have that because we lost those contracts. I, as your sheriff, will go after those contracts, okay? I'm not going to go out and arrest everybody either. No one wants to go to jail, so don't worry about that. I, as your sheriff, will work trying to get these contracts back with DOC and the ICE. Very important to build those relationships. I work in Adams County, got a lot of ties. Work with 10 of the largest agencies in the state of Colorado. I, as your sheriff, will work together. Multi-agency, work together. Let's get these inmates up here. Probably better housed, but again, we need the training. We need to get these contracts back. Thank you.
I've been a jail administrator in Summit County, and I've been a jail administrator in Park County. I was the architect of the jail expansion project for our jail in Fairplay. And we actually built that, and I came in under budget. I established contracts with the Colorado Department of Corrections, ICE, basically Immigration and Customs, U.S. Marshal's Office, and 11 other Colorado counties. I worked to bring people into that jail so we could offset costs. And just so you know, there's been a little bit of misinformation. There's not one jail in the state of Colorado, not one jail in the nation that makes money. Taxpayers, your tax dollars fund jails, just like you fund the sheriff's office. What we try to do is offset those costs, okay? When we offset costs and jails cost less, we have more money for staffing, we have more money for the county. So we ran that jail on a business plan, essentially. DOC just had, I think, just put 100 inmates in that facility maybe 3 months ago. And I'm not sure what the issues were, but they ended up pulling them out. So inmates are currently available. The state of Colorado is growing, and that would be a revenue source. Once again, as the architect of that facility and the technology that we brought in, any problems with plumbing can easily be rectified. I appreciate your support. I'm the one that has experience in all aspects of management, patrol operations, investigations, animal controls, jail operation, search and rescue operations, wildland fires. Thank you very much.
There's been a lot of numbers thrown at you today, and Monty's right. There was a actual business program that was put together for the jail. Monty did a great job with it. But what we don't hear is is that you can take a business model and you can actually tweak it to bring in more prisoners. The state won't allow us to do that right now. I approached the state when I was a commissioner to bring down the cost for them, for the taxpayer, from the $54, from the $45, to just above a break even, and show them that we could actually bring in more prisoners, keep our jails full, and be able to actually pay our bills, and then also offset those costs for the jail. Now, because it's government, it's said no to, and because they don't want, I don't know, I guess they don't want the taxpayer to save some money there. But there's a way to be able to bring more prisoners into the jail and to have those costs offset. The jail itself, actually, the offset costs during the time I was a commissioner was in the black at one point, because we had a actual, I think, a very good picture by the state of the state thinking that we're a very good jail. And I think we still can be. We can still show that through the leadership. I, for one, can be that individual that, as sheriff, can show the state that we can handle those prisoners and that we can actually bring more in, we can house more, we can actually look at our model, our business model, and we can look at offset costs. Because I think Monty's also right with that, is that we don't make money, we make sure the costs for our citizens are better. Now, the jail itself is paid off. What is the commissioners doing right now with the over $600,000 that are saved for them? It's gone to the general fund. We need to ask those questions, especially as a sheriff. Thank you very much.
Again, I'm Steve Stoliak, and I believe the question was, as sheriff, what will you do to increase the census or the population of the county jail? So I'd like to get back to that. The other candidates up here have said some interesting things. The sheriff is required to provide a county jail, or the other option that a sheriff would have would be to pay to house county inmates somewhere else. So would that be a good option for us? I don't think so. Park County is big enough as it is, and if we were to close our jail facility down, for example, and transport county inmates to Summit County or to Jefferson County or Teller County, Chaffey County, I don't think that would be in the best interest of the sheriff's office. But again, John just talked about some misinformation, and I think there's a lot of that going around, especially in relation to the jail. We just had a debate Thursday night, so we had a jail question, and that brought up some questions for me. So I talked to our jail administrator yesterday about some of these things. He's not aware of these huge plumbing issues that are being claimed. We also have not lost contracts with the Department of Corrections. There currently aren't any backlogs for us to house, and in fact, the warden from the Buena Vista Prison was just up at our jail this week. Our jail is one of the only in the state that is certified PREA as a facility. So PREA stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. That's a big deal. So I just want to say there's a lot of misinformation going around, and I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I wanted to try and get good information from inside the sheriff's office to share with you all. Thank you.
One minute to rebuttal.
Well, I'm getting my information from the county that the county jail has plumbing issues. That they're talking in the next couple of years, they're talking several $100,000. And Monty says plumbing is an easy fix. Well, if you've ever had a plumber come out to your house and pay them money to fix your plumbing problem, it is not an easy fix. We're talking a large amount of money. When I talked to Captain Muldoon down at the jail. Yes, he admits we have plumbing problems down there. The Fairplay water system is causing an issue with the plumbing down there. I talked to the county about it. They said yes, there have been reports given out to Captain Muldoon. Whether he reads it or not, I don't know. But they are telling me that from the county that there are major plumbing problems down there. It is not an easy fix. You're talking several $100,000. So that's the information that I've gotten. I think it's valid. I think the jail has some problems, and I think we need to do something to figure out how we're gonna fix it. But we're talking about several $100,000. It's not an easy fix. Thank you.
And Gary,
I too have talked to several current employees, past employees that work at the jail. Public record, we've lost DOC contracts. We used to be able to house female inmates. We're not able to do that any longer. And again, Park County's being sued. We as taxpayers are going to be paying that. I was in the flume. I'm not sure if this has all been dismissed. 20 inmates from DOC sued the jail. That was public record just a few months ago. Again, I don't know if that's all been resolved or not. One of our other problems is retention in the jail. They're looking for a nurse in the jail. Deputies, I think we're having a couple that are leaving probably by now, by the end of May is what I was told they're leaving because of the conditions of that jail. Again, it's working with the commissioners. Somebody made a comment, it's the sheriff's job to run that jail, but it's also his job to maintain a safe, secure facility up to the health standards, and I don't think we're doing that right now. Okay, that jail is run down. It does have a lot of problems.
When I managed the Park County Jail and established contracts with the people that I previously mentioned, we had to pass federal, state, local, and health inspections. A federal inspection, I think, addresses almost 400 different areas in a jail. You better be accurate on it. Fire evacuation plans, emergency plans, storage of chemicals, food storage, the whole gamut. These are very complex issues. Typically, a federal inspection, which took 3 days and 400 questions, and I was usually inspected by former retired wardens. We scored, I believe, in the 99th percentile for a small jail. We're one of the few jails that actually can contract with DOC. That's because of the relationships that were built with DOC, the feds, and others. Thank you.
A lot has been said about the jail itself and if it's being ran right and that. But really, it's always been a situation with the jail. It's been a fight between the constituents, if it's going to make money or not, or with the commissioners. And really, what it comes down to is the sheriff working with the commissioners, working and making those relationships work with them. If you don't have a good relationship between the commissioners and the sheriff, then you have a problem actually bringing in contracts, because you have to make sure that the BOCC, they say yes to those contracts. If they say no to those contracts, you have a wall built there. We need to make sure, or the sheriff, I as a sheriff would make sure that I work very diligently with the BOCC to make sure that we have those contracts that are going to them and making sure that they're right, so that they know what we're doing with the jail. Also, the BOCC needs to come over and look at the jail. If we have all these problems within the jail, then we need to make sure that they know that we have those problems and they can be paid for and corrected and taken care of. Thank you.
So increasing the population of the jail, I'll get back to that because I think I ran out of time before I actually got to really cover that.
Can you please speak up?
Yes, ma'am, sorry. So currently, we're housing inmates from Pueblo City, Pueblo County. We're housing U.S. Marshal inmates, and we're seeking out additional state, local, and federal partners to bring more inmates to our jail. Now, I think it's important to note that the jail is not designed, or any jail is not designed to be a revenue generator. Like's been said up here before, revenue that's brought in through the jail should be to offset the current budget. So to say that the jail is in the hole is not looking at the way the budget works accurately, because that's money that is already in the budget for that purpose, and any revenue that comes in addition to that is to offset those costs. Thank you.
Okay, before we take the next question from the audience, the Flume has a question for the candidates.
And I'm not going to take up any of their time by asking them to speak or anything, but I do have a question, and I just want to see a ready show of hands. We're talking about costs, we're talking about putting people in the jail, but if you have a bad landlord, it's really hard to, populate a house or anything like that. All of you, would you be willing to actually review, because you've heard lawsuits and stuff, and they kind of gloss over that, but that's rather important because some things have gone on in there that cause inmates to feel that they have a reason to have a lawsuit. All of you, by a show of hands, would you be willing to actually review from the jail captain down the way that place is run and some of the instances that have happened in there due to some Park County personnel and not due to inmates? Show of hands, will you look into that? Of course, I expected that, but anyhow. Thank you.
Okay, the next one from the audience is, what distinguishes you from the other sheriff candidates? And first up this time is Gary.
Okay, Gary Rhodes, couple things. Again, I have got 28 years of a very diverse law enforcement career. State Patrol, approximately 20 years. Was able to teach at the academy from 1992 till 2010. I taught at the Colorado Law Enforcement Training Academy, State Patrol Academy, very professional, very elite academy. We actually taught Park County deputies how to do their job. Very, very highly trained, several certifications. Got 10 years of supervisory experience, 10 years. As a sergeant for State Patrol here in Park County, I was just like the sheriff. I had a group of gentlemen that I was responsible for. Our job was to reduce motor vehicle accidents. My team and I did that. We reduced fatal and serious injury accidents when I was their supervisor, their sergeant, by 85%. It's about working with the community. I, as your sheriff, very community orientated. I'd like to set up the advisory groups. School resource officer. I'm very involved in the school, just like John. I've been coaching in the school district here for Platte Canyon from 2002 until present. I'm still coaching today. Our youth is very important to me. My community is very important. I'm just like you folks. I'm a citizen just like you. My concerns are the same as yours, and I'll do everything I can to protect us in the environment that we live in. I will provide a safe and secure environment for all of us. My concerns are just the same as yours. Again, I've got 8 years of death investigation, approximately. With that death investigation, I feel I'm very more well-rounded than the candidates. They're all very qualified. We're all very qualified. But I ask you, you look at all the qualifications and look to see who has very diverse. A lot of these guys, they've only worked here in Park County as a true law enforcement officer. I don't have that. I go beyond. And again, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Barney?
Park County Sheriff's Office, first and foremost, needs to reestablish trust with the public. Upholding the public trust is a sacred responsibility that the sheriff has. That responsibility to all of you to do the right thing. Leaders do the right thing. Managers do things right. You need a leader who can set the vision of that organization, and you need an experienced manager who can manage the budgets. I think it was in 2006, the county gave me around $3 million in the budget. I was able to give $3 million back to the county plus some. When you give that kind of money back and you're operating that kind of an operation, you can fix a $500,000 plumbing issue. But it takes a business plan. I'm not talking about theory like a lot of my competitors. I'm talking about where the rubber meets the road. That's who I am as a leader. That's where I am as a manager. I've managed all the divisions in the Park County Sheriff's Office. I was in a position where I was the undersheriff, acting undersheriff in Summit County. I've got 24 years of experience doing exactly this. Not entry-level supervision, not in a position where I've been there for decades. I've worked my way up through the ranks as an FTO, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, and an undersheriff running an organization. That's what sets me and makes me different from my competitors. And I've not only done that, but I've done it extremely well. Thank you very much.
Say the question again for me, please.
Oh, sure.
Appreciate that.
Question is, what distinguishes you from the other sheriff candidates?
What distinguishes me from the other sheriff candidates? We all have good, I think, qualifications that we've gone to school and we've got years of experience and we've done that. But what sets me apart is this. I've been a commissioner, I've been in the trenches for the citizens of Park County. I've gone out, I know where I have to work hard to make sure that I get those grant monies. I brought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of grant monies into Park County. Not only the communication system, but for our search and rescue, which is one of those areas where they have to have monies that come in to help our citizens in Park County. That's where I set myself apart from them. I believe that I can get in there and I can do that part of the job, the administrative part, not only the law enforcement part, but the administrative aspect of it, and be able to improve the actual quality of our deputies. When I went out to get my petition signed, I decided to do it that way so I could talk to the citizens of this community. And I wanted to hear from them, what do they want? Well, they want retaining of our deputies. They want our deputies to stay here. They want to have that aspect of it. I'm the only one that comes to the plate with an idea of having a tourist tax that will help us bring extra monies into the sheriff's office so we can pay our deputies better salaries. We have a deputy that his children can't even be on our insurance because he cannot afford it. That's wrong. We should be able to have deputies coming into this community and living here. We need to make sure their quality of life is here. You'll hear other debate where it says that doesn't matter. It's the actual leadership. I do believe it's the leadership, but they have to be able to support themselves. If they can't support themselves, they won't be here. And we need to have that. Quality deputies, and we've had some quality deputies. They're sitting right next to me here on it. And we want to keep those people here. They will make it better with response times. They will make it better for our community. Thank you.
What distinguishes me from the other candidates up here? I think we all have a lot of good ideas and we all have a lot of good qualities. But one of the things that distinguishes me is my background includes private law enforcement. I was a railroad police special agent, senior special agent. So briefly, kind of an overview of what that means is I was a cop for a company. So law enforcement powers, same as we have up here, but instead of working for the government, I worked for a corporation. So the reason that I bring that up is because the bottom line to a corporation is the bottom dollar. What's important to them is a profit because they need a profit in order to survive. So that's something that I bring to the table is that fiscal responsibility and making sure that the money that is spent as your sheriff is spent in the best way possible to serve you. Another thing that sets me apart is my current knowledge of the department. Okay, I'm one of two of the other candidates who's currently employed with the sheriff's office, but I'm the only one who's worked in the jail, on patrol, as a school resource officer, and in investigations. I have a real-time working understanding of how the sheriff's office works, what's going on right now, the things that are working, and the things that probably need to change. Now, it's been said in debates before that there's 3 of us candidates who have been in a position to change things in the sheriff's office and hasn't. Well, that's not exactly true. A frontline supervisor position doesn't really have that, but that's one of the reasons that I'm running for sheriff, is because I see there's changes that need to be made. I'm the one to bring those changes. And probably the most obvious thing is I'm the young guy of this group. I don't have as much experience as the rest of these gentlemen up here do because I'm not as old as they are. But I think that's, this job requires a lot of energy, a lot of time. And that's what makes me different than the rest of these candidates is I have that energy and that enthusiasm. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, I am not the oldest. But what makes me different up here is that I have never worked with the Park County Sheriff's Office. The most interaction I've had with people from the Park County Sheriff's Office has been John and Steve. And I find these two guys to be very professional, very likable, and I would truly enjoy working with both of them. Monty has worked with the Sheriff's Office. Gary has worked up here with the Colorado State Patrol. He has worked in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office. So they all have ties to people in the Sheriff's Office. I don't. I have no problems that if there's something needs to be addressed, somebody needs to be removed, somebody needs to be demoted, transferred, I will do it. I have no ties with anybody in the Sheriff's Office. I can make those decisions that need to be done. I have no problems with anybody in the community. If somebody in the community gets arrested, they're not going to call me and have me get them out of jail. If a county commissioner gets arrested and taken to jail, I will call the jail and I will make sure he gets his private cell so he doesn't get beat up by his constituents. If a mother or a father calls me and says, my son's been arrested for drunk driving, I will call to make sure they're okay. That's all they're going to get. I'm going to treat people out here fairly. If you live in a little trailer up in the woods or that $1 million home up on the top of the mountain, you're going to get the same treatment. It's going to be fair across the board. That's the way I was taught in law enforcement, and in 35 years of law enforcement, my mentality, I've been accused of having an East Coast mentality. East Coast mentality to me is being professional, respect the public, and do the right thing. And if anybody has a problem with that, I'm not your person. But that's what I'm going to do. We're going to be fair and impartial. Thank you.
Okay, 1 minute.
Again, with my 28 years of experience, I have been a supervisor. I'm a leader, and I'm a mentor. Some of you out here, I've coached a lot of your kids. I have not been associated with Park County's Sheriff's Department. I've never been employed there. I work for the Colorado State Patrol. I'm never employed with the Park County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office. That's very important. I think it's time for some new ideas. And Steve's right. 3 of the candidates have lots of years of experience. They've worked in all aspects of the Sheriff's Department, but nothing's changed. In 18 years that I've been here, several problems are ongoing. It's time for a real change, and I'm that real change. Got several ideas. We need to regain the trust, regain the faith within our community that we've lost. Retention of our deputies, our training. What are we going to do to retain our deputies? It's not all about money. Law enforcement, I never got into law enforcement for the money. These deputies, when they took this job, they knew what they're going to get paid. Same for the deputies standing outside. They didn't take the job for the money. Huge issue. Total benefit package. SRO is very important. School safety, very important. But I'm your leader.
Thank you. 1 minute.
I'm a dedicated and proactive law enforcement executive with comprehensive knowledge of law enforcement. I have demonstrated high standards of conduct. I have a proven track record and reputation for building and maintaining positive relationships. I'm experienced in modern policing, collaboratively working with government and community agencies, successful in enforcing laws related to public safety and security with diplomacy. I'm skilled in setting goals and objectives, implementation, evaluation, and strategic planning, motivated, results-oriented achiever with strong communication, interpersonal, public relations, and interview skills. Demonstrated ability to provide positive and systematic approach to prepare offenders for successful re-entry into the community. I've set up work release programs that are very successful in our jail.
That's it, Mike.
Thank you very much.
John?
Yeah.
What's sets me apart in Park County from these other candidates here. I've been in Park County 19 years. I've served you. I've cried with you. I've been there. And so I've been through those tragedies. And I'm here to protect you, and I want to be there with you. I really feel for this community. That sets me apart. But I'll get past that. But I really want to talk about this, and that is, we must get back to go ahead and supporting our deputies. And if you want good response times, you want school resource officers, you want those in your community, we have to pay for those. And I think a sales tax or a tourist tax is one of those ways where we can go. And that means we're not going to put a burden on our property taxes. We're going to get these tourists, the 7,000 cars that go through Bailey right now, we're going to grab them and we're going to take their dollar, or their penny, excuse me, not their dollar, their penny, and they're going to invest it in the sheriff's office. So we can retain those deputies that are standing in the back so that they can actually work for us and respond to us. Thank you.
Remember to speak up, guys.
So again, what sets me apart from the other candidates up here, you know, other than what I said earlier, my youth, my energy, is I grew up here. Now, a lot of these guys have been here for a long time, but I've seen how this has changed from that perspective, from a child through adulthood, and the difference in this county. This county's huge. This county's the size of the state of Delaware, and all the communities are different. And I understand that because I've been here, I've grown up here, and I think I understand what's important to most of the people in this county because I'm a part of it also. And I really care. And that's one of the things we've been together as a group doing events for, you know, months now. We've heard each other talk, and we know what the other candidates are going to say when they get up here. But the one thing I haven't been hearing until just recently is, why are we running for sheriff? And I've been saying this all along. It's because I love this place, I care about you all, I care about this county, and this is my home. Thank you.
Another thing that sets me apart is that in my career, I was on a SWAT team for 9 years, I was a SWAT team leader, and worked in drugs for 16 years. I have done hundreds of search warrants, hundreds of high-risk arrests. When I was in homicide for 5 years, I worked homicides from the beginning to where the dead body's laying there, to where we finished in court and that person was convicted and sent away to prison. So I know how to work these cases. I've chased the bad guys through the neighborhoods. I've kicked open doors, go after the suspects inside the houses, worked in conjunction with the district attorney's office and found those people guilty. So I'm very familiar how to run those major type operations. God forbid we have another murder up here, but we will. We will eventually have another one. And as your sheriff, I will make sure that that investigation is run properly and that everything can be done to put somebody in prison for committing that murder. That is one of the remaining reasons that I'm different. None of these people have that vast amount of experience like I do. Thank you.
Okay, first up this time will be Monty. Okay. This one does not have a name on it, so we can't read it. Okay. This is kind of a duplicate, but we can do it if you want to, guys. Okay, this is a pretty good question, all right. With the high turnover of the sheriff officers in Park County, what is the annual cost of training and replacement of officers? Can the county reduce these costs by increasing salaries? Monty, you're up first.
It's a very good question, and it gets right to the heart of one of the toughest issues Park County is facing. And not only with the sheriff's office, but with every county department, pretty much road and bridge. Before I left the sheriff's office, I actually sat down with the assistant county administrator, Cindy Garst, and actually penciled out a step increase raise with her for all of our deputies. They were gonna get a percentage if they were post-certified, they were gonna get a percentage if they had previous experience. We actually mapped that entire process out. I also had approved with the county to actually put our young people through a law enforcement academy. Part of the problem Park County has is we go to Denver and we grab kids out of an academy class and we bring them up to Park County, 2,200 square miles, and we plop them down. Their families are in the metro area, their life is in the metro area, and they don't stay here. If we can recruit young people and put them through an academy and have them guarantee that if they leave within 3 years or so, they've got to pay that back, we actually have roots here. One of the other aspects is recruiting people that already live here. Look how many retired law enforcement live in this area. They've already got usually retirement from the military or retirement from another department. Everything we pay them is extra. So we need to start thinking outside the box for retention of our staff. Number one reason people leave an organization isn't salary. It's because of the way that they're treated, and we all know that. We need to start mentoring and growing our officers as they come in. We need to show them. Thank you very much.
The question asks, what are our costs for our deputies that leave this department? Well, the cost is for the other deputies that are here that they have to actually step up and make sure that they're continuing to do that overtime. So we have $140,000 last year of overtime that we spent. So the costs are great when it comes down to that. It's also morale. There's the morale aspect of it too. And the ability to retain, keep, and serve our citizens, because you get these new officers that are in, you got to train them. The letter of the law and the spirit of the law, I think Tom McGraw does great with the letter and goes into the spirit. And you got to teach them that, how they respect the citizens of this community. We lose a lot with that aspect of it. So I know a lot's been said up here about managers, and they have to have quality managers to keep them. If they can't survive in this community, they're going to leave. They have left. They have left for years. And sometimes I can't remember names that are way back in 2000 from the deputies that we've hired then when I was a school resource officer, and that are out in our community. So we've got to be able to retain. I do solely believe, that we have a program set in place, bringing finances into the sheriff's office, so we have the ability to hire, retain, and keep those deputies so they can serve you. And that's how we can actually improve, I believe, Park County and its ability to have deputies that are quality. And we need to do that. Thank you.
So what is the turnover cost? So I don't have an exact number for you, but I've heard anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 is what it costs the Park County Sheriff's Office to change a new deputy. That's probably pretty close to accurate. There's other costs, though. There's costs to you, the citizens, because not only are you paying two deputies to do one job, essentially, so that's costing taxpayers money. But when we lose these deputies, it's costing us as an agency, the sheriff's office, and you as the citizens of Park County, it's costing that experience that they've gained while they're here. Not only that law enforcement experience, but their experience of the communities that they've worked in, their experience of what's going on, the connections that they have built. All that's gone, and you start over. And that is why, as your sheriff, my top priority is going to be to retain quality people, because of all the things that we lose when people leave this agency and go to work somewhere else. So, how do we fix that? I can tell you that I left the sheriff's office in 2009 because I wasn't making enough money. I had the opportunity to go into a very lucrative area of law enforcement. That's when my wife and I started our family, and that afforded her the ability to stay home, and that was the right decision for me at that time. But now I'm back here to serve you all because that's what's important to me now, this community. So the pay is important, but showing our people that we appreciate them, helping develop them professionally, giving them professional challenges and opportunities These are all things that are going to help keep deputies with the sheriff's office. I've already begun working with the sheriff on getting the park